Alrighty, hello. Tatiana, League Against the Lies, can take over the world. Just got to get on my lipstick, right? Here we go. In case you were wondering, black lipstick is quite sticky. Okay, here we go. This is going to be, I believe, an album that I'm going to call something like How to Save Your Library Through a Special District. But this is the first video where I'm just going to break down the absolute basics of what a special district is. So, oh, yes, thank you for pointing that out. I am dressed a bit differently. So this theme that I'm working with for this album, especially with special districts, is, going to war. It is your vote that is that, how did I put it? Get your weapons locked and loaded with your voter registration, okay? Special districts are very important in many ways, but especially I want to get the word out there about voting about special districts because that vote is in May, and statistically we know that voter participation goes down during the May elections. So I'm hoping to draw some attention to the importance of special districts and the importance of why you should be voting. Okay, so wish me luck because I'm hoping you get involved. Okay, so special districts. Basically, a special district is going to finance something that you want in your community. So let's start from the top. About everything in our community that we take for granted or that we complain about that's paid for somehow is usually paid for with taxes. So we're going to start right at the top. Well, of course, I've got a quitter. My marker's messing up. Okay, so it starts with taxes. Now we're very familiar with what, paying our federal taxes, right? We give our money to the IRS at the end of the year. And your federal taxes are going to pay for stuff that we take for granted, such as military, right? Can you even see this? A little bit. Okay. We also pay state taxes. In Oregon, we don't pay state taxes. I just want you to know. But that's its own funky loop. But most of the states in the United States, you also pay that state taxes at the same time when you're doing your taxes at the end of the year. And you get things that you also take for granted, such as schools, roads, like I said, things that you take for granted or you complain about. Okay, now, those are the biggies. Get closer to home. And, for example, here in the state of Oregon, we have, since we don't have state taxes, a lot of our things are paid for with property tax. And your property tax is going to go up to the county. And those county commissioners decide how to distribute that money each fiscal year. Well, we pay our property taxes to the county, and then the county also takes a portion of those taxes, and they're going to send it down to the city that you live in, if you have a city, or an unincorporated city. So what do we take for granted from the county? Sheriff's Department. Okay, Sheriff's Department is paid for with our taxes going through the county to the Sheriff Department. In your city, we have, for example, in our city of Reedsport, we have a levy. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that part of that money goes to the levy. Or our school. Let's do that one since I know that for sure. Okay, we have our charter school. And we have people running each of these areas that we send our taxes to, right? We have people that we elect that are distributing this money, right? We have our senators, we have everybody over there in Washington, D.C. who makes these decisions, your president and whoever your president assigned, okay? Here in the county, we have an elected sheriff that covers his budget. Here in the city, we have an elected school board, right? Okay, so we are electing people to spend our money wisely, hopefully. If none of these are covering the financing of something, you can create what's called a special district, which is basically a governing board for a special thing that you care about that is not funded here. So for example, in my experience, the county used to pay for the libraries that we have in Douglas County. There was an effort to pass a county-wide special district that the entire county voted on, and that failed. It was very close, but it had passed in some areas and did not pass in others, which resulted in the slight majority voting against it. I will talk about that in another video. But for now, well, we're on the coast, and our precincts voted in favor of that county-wide library measure to save our library. So what do? Well, we look at the voter data that says, actually, this community does care about their library enough that they're willing to pay a special tax to this special district. So we did an effort for something local. Now, libraries are not your only special district. I can tell you a common way that cemeteries are paid for is through a special district. Here on the coast, we also have something called the Lower Umpqua Hospital. That is a special district. We have sanitary districts. Not sanitation, but your sewer and stuff like that. Okay, we actually have, there's a multitude of ways that you can have a special district to support something in your community that is not paid for normally through your taxes. But you have to vote to create it. Right? Our federal government was created hundreds of years ago. The county was created like 150 years ago, something like that. Okay, the city, we're having our 100-year centennial this year. So our city was created 100 years ago. How long ago was the state of Oregon created? Okay, these are already created. You have to vote to create a special district in the community that is serviced by the special district. So for us, we went through the precincts of who had voted in favor here on the coast, and we created a special outline of who is serviced by that library, as well as comparing that to the Oregon State Library and who the Oregon State Library believes that our library serviced. And we went through the process of creating a special district. So like I said, I'm going to do how to create a special district in another video. But for now, I want to conclude breaking down the absolute basics of what a special district is. So here I'm going to use the example of what we did pass. We passed a Lower Umpqua library district, and we had to, number one, get people to vote to pay for it. Okay, oh sorry, somebody wants to come and say hi. Okay, so we first had to vote for them to pay for it. They voted on paying 39 cents per thousand, and like I said, I'll explain that in another video. But first we had to vote to pass the measure. Yes, I'm willing to pay 39 cents per thousand. And I'm going to elect these people to to make decisions about my money. My money is going to go to the county. The county is going to give it to the special district so that these elected officials are going to spend my money wisely. So we had position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, position 5. I don't know how special districts decide what number they want. Okay, so that's your basic structure of a special district. I'm going to pull back and conclude with the other issue that we're looking at this particular May 21, 2019, our vote. We are voting, I believe, this, and this. 3, 4, and 5. Those positions are up for re-election. So people have to run for this position. And I believe that 3 people have registered to run. Okay. So here on the Douglas County coast, May 21, we are voting on some new people. For all of Douglas County, they are voting on a county-wide special district. We just created, last November actually, they just created a transportation district. And this is very, very important because we live, this is very important for Oregon, because we live in rural areas. We are mostly rural areas, and we don't have a very good bus system. I think many of us who need to use the bus, we use a system called Dial-A-Ride, which is actually a volunteer. It is funded by the city. It is funded by the city, but I think like they fund the buses and the gas or something like that. But then like the drivers have to be volunteers. I mean, it's like teetering. It's teetering and it's limited service. So the state government, they voted to create transportation districts across the state. I believe it was across the state. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they did that. Now, instead of taking your property taxes, since the state did this, they're taking it through employment tax. So you might not notice it if you're an employee. You might not notice. You have to look at your paycheck and you'll see here in the state of Oregon that there's now this transportation district tax on there. It's the employers that were like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I pay this tax now because it's a new tax. It's only been like 4 months or something like that it's been in process. But anyway, so the state has created this tax, employment tax, that's going to come down to through the county, and we are in Douglas County. Many counties have this new transportation district. And I apologize, I cannot remember how many people were elected to this board. I'm guessing it was 10. I just remember it being a ludicrous amount of people. 10 or 11, I'm not sure. But there was a lot, and a lot of people ran. There was, I think 17 people ran for something like 10 positions. That's a lot of people to research, right? You go, I just want to vote on who my senator is. It's like a race between 2 people. I just want to study 2 people. Well, I really want to conclude with why this is so important. When you have 17, and I'm guesstimating on these numbers, but if you have 17 people that are running for 10 positions, and this is a state-mandated district, basically what we're saying is there's a lot of money. There is going to be a lot of money coming in here. So you want very good people on your board. And you do want to take the time to research each of your candidates here as well in our small community. These are people that we are going to run into in the grocery store. These are people that when you go out to the Eagles and you're going out for Taco Tuesday, you're going to be at the table with this person and you can talk to them specifically and say, hey, how do you guys feel about such and such a company for purchasing books? You can actually reach these people, have intelligent conversations, and make your suggestions in a much more natural way that actually can affect your local politics and affect the wise spending of the money that you are literally paying. I'm paying 39 cents per thousand, and I get to talk to the person who's in charge of spending it. This is I love the concept of special districts is great. The things that can go wrong with special districts will be the subject of another video. But in the meantime, let's talk about what's awesome and positive. Even this county-wide transportation district, these are still people that you are going to run into. These are people that you can approach. So you really want to make sure that you take the time to investigate that person and feel comfortable that they know what the district is about, and that, oh no, I'm looking at my notes, and that they are a fiscally responsible person, right? Right? You don't want somebody who is not fiscally responsible on here, okay? And it also helps to know that that person has been in politics for a while. They know the dynamics that can happen on a board. You know, once you get into politics, you know, there's a lot of dirty games out there, and you want somebody who has the stamina to stand up for citizens. And last of all, like I said, these people are approachable. Especially in Douglas County, where we're small, a lot of these people are on Facebook. You can message them yourself, or they, you know, when you apply to run for a district and you submit that paperwork to the county, well, you have to put your contact information. There's an email address, there's a telephone number. You can call this person yourself. It's not the same thing like when you've got a president and you've got a problem with him, right? You don't get his like personal email and his own personal phone number. But you can contact this person and say, hey, you know what, can you talk to me? Or can I arrange a candidate forum in my community for you to come and talk to our community? We did that for the transportation district, and it was awesome. It was awesome. A whole bunch of these people came down to the coast here in Reedsport, and you know, we're rural and we're isolated. So I think just about every single person who actually came down, because 17 people did not come down, but I believe that every single person who came down to our community, they received the highest votes because it showed that they cared. And it was important, I think, to have these people show how difficult it is to get to the coast. So by the time that they're elected to the board, they understand how important this district is. Now, these are just two examples of districts. But right now, and why I've got the funky costume on, is because we are at war. You want to pay attention to both of these. If you are in Douglas County, Oregon, these elections are happening in May. I'm not familiar with the law around the United States, but I can tell you that in the state of Oregon, special district elections are always in May. So if you have a problem with something, you need to pay attention to May ballots. That is when you can make a difference on your local special districts. Okay, so again, reminding you that May 21, 2019 is the last day to vote. The ballots come out May 1st, I think they get mailed out. And at 8 p.m. at the ballot box is your last chance to put in your vote. So I just want to really encourage you, of course, to vote and to start learning what a special district is and how a special district benefits your community. And we'll talk about how special districts can be manipulated in a different video. All right, that's as down and dirty and fast as I can do it, but thank you for joining me. This week I'm going to try to crank out as many videos as I can and get them up this week. This week's theme is special districts. So I will catch you on the flip side. I didn't like that closing. Unless I could do a flip. Okay, I can't do a flip, but I can do a spin.
This is it, boys. This is war.